I think my interest in wanting to do this show goes back to the fact that over the years I've spent a lot of time in artist studios, and in being in studios, enjoyed not only looking at the works of art which they've been made, but sort of looking around and seeing the conditions under which they were working, what materials they were using, what they had hanging on their walls and so on. And this certainly led me to be interested in paintings of this subject and wondering, to what extent were these paintings an accurate record of these studios, to what extent were they staged, and then thinking about what would it be to bring together a cogent group of these. And it ended up from the earliest work being in the middle of the 16th century, and then really a sort of jump to the 18th and 19th, until in the period of post-war US art, they really narrowed down, in the most inventive pictures at least, to studio walls and the artist's materials.
And I noticed one of the differences between the two shows is this show is more or less chronological, whereas the photograph show is not chronological at all. And the biggest difference, I think, is that the painting in the studio is the default condition for painting, whereas the default condition for photography is you go out into the world and you take your picture there, and then you bring it back to the dark room, or if you want to call it a studio, and you process it there. So there isn't the comparable tradition of images of photographer studios, although there are a few in the exhibition. The largest and I think most interesting section of the photographs exhibition is about the studio as a place for presenting the body, presenting an identity, a persona, or for actually exploring and describing the body.
An argument has been made that the studio first really emerged in the Renaissance simultaneous with the practice of life drawing. Once art shifted to be the record of immediate experience, and initially experience of the figure, and therefore figures had to be initially drawn and painted, there needed to be a space where this activity could take place.
The old studio tradition of the figure in the studio, photography adopted right away. In the 60s and 70s, studio-based conceptual art comes along where you have mini performances within the studio. It ends up feeling exactly the same as the deployment of the bodies in the old academic tradition. One of the sections of the photographs exhibition is about artists photographing their own studios.
The two wonderful Chardin paintings, well, particularly one of those Chardin paintings, it's a kind of wonderful thing when you realize that the painting you're looking at was made with the materials that you're looking at, and that the whole thing is all wound up in itself.